So it's very important to not only address just your diet, but your emotional health as well, if you want to have that really rapid change that I'm able to provide for people, right? So oftentimes they are dealing with intense emotional distress. And so it's kind of like picking at a scab. You're drinking your green smoothie, trying to heal it, but then your stress and your distress is picking at that scab, keeping you sick.
I also want to talk about the emotional side of prevention and really taking on and embracing health in a way that's both mental and physical.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, one of the key factors that affects our overall health is what we eat, because we're literally creating our cells, right? You actually are what you eat, unfortunately.
There's a reason why there's that saying, right?
Yeah. I used to be Chef RD. I am now green smoothie. That is what I am now. Yeah, absolutely. But the other things that affect our overall health is anything that can cause stress to the body. And so things like sleep, really, really important, and also emotional health. So, for example, they found that people with autoimmune diseases have an extremely high rate of trauma. And I know that for sure because in my rapid recovery groups, 80 to 90% of the people who join also have a really severe history of trauma. So there's a very clear connection between things like trauma, depression, anxiety, and inflammation. And if you've got chronic inflammation that's happening because instead of it just being because you got a viral infection, it's because of what you ate all day long, and it's because of the stress of your traumas and your depression and your anxiety, and you're constantly generating that inflammatory pathway, it's going to trigger your genes for disease. So it's very important to not only address just your diet, but your emotional health as well, if you want to have that really rapid change that I'm able to provide for people, right? So a lot of times people will say, oh, I tried to eat more plants, or I tried having a smoothie and I'm still very sick. So a lot of times they're not doing it right. It's not any food you eat. I have a very specific hypernourishment protocol. That's an intentional overdose in the nutrients your body uses for recovery, right? So that's one part of it. But the other part of it is oftentimes they are dealing with intense emotional distress. And so it's kind of like picking at a scab. You're drinking your green smoothie, trying to heal it, but then your stress and your distress is picking at that scab, keeping you sick. So I've really, and what's really been profound about my life is everything I've ever experienced or learned, I use now every single day. So I'm a trauma specialist, and I teach people how to not only cope with trauma and stress, but to actually attain joy and happiness, how to be emotionally resilient, how to achieve true emotional resilience and happiness in the face of anything that you're going through, right? And happiness and depression, those are habits. Those are not just things that happen by luck, but they're based on the way you think and the way you treat yourself and your activities that you do every day. And so we can teach people the habits of happiness. And when you combine the habits of happiness with the right nutrition, oh my gosh, it's incredible. And that's how we're able to have people who can be free of symptoms of lupus in 2 to 6 weeks. We had a guy who was 77 years old recently who completely reversed his glaucoma in 5 weeks. But when I asked him, what's the best part of your experience in my group? He said, I used to be a grouchy old man and now I'm happy. I go jogging and I think happy thoughts and I can see, So a lot of times people will tell me that when they do my group, they came in to get rid of their pain. But the best part was the emotional release, like actually feeling happy for the first time. We have someone in my group right now who has extreme health anxiety, and she posted last week that she had a full day with no anxiety for the first time ever. We're like, well, but every day we're working on their thoughts. For a lot of people, it's not just that they needed to know better to do better. It's like, oh, chips are bad for me, I won't eat them, right? No, most people eating chips know they're not good for them. But it's about, the fact that food is not just about nutrition, but it's about tradition, and it's about addiction, and it's about peer pressure and self-esteem. All right. It's about comfort, right? So as long as you think that ice cream is comfort, if we take ice cream away, you're going to be uncomfortable, right? And eventually you will have ice cream again when you get uncomfortable, versus learning real comfort, therapy and friends and exercise and all these positive things that actually heal the problem that's making you uncomfortable rather than masking it temporarily while making you sicker. So really all of that good juice that helps people in my group recover from the emotional side is what I really poured my heart into creating in my book, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease.